starts right now.
80 dogs seized from horrid conditions this noon. We first brought you the story early this morning when Bexar County deputies were called to what they say was a puppy mill in South Bexar County.
That farm on the South I-35 frontage road near the unincorporated area of Atascosa had stacks upon stacks of kennels filled with mama dogs and litters in their own filth. Sarah Costa tells us why deputies wasted no time freeing the animals and getting them vet care.
A grotesque situation that we found in there.
It's how Bexar County Sheriff Javier Salazar is describing the inside of this puppy mill run by a 79-year-old man. After receiving a criminal tip, the Bexar County Sheriff's Office, along with Bexar County Animal Control, seized 80 animals this morning from this home near Kinney Road off of South I-35 near Atascosa. 60 of them are dogs, 8 were found dead, along with several poultry animals and a goat that had injuries to its neck after being chained. Salazar says the man was feeding them old hamburger and hot dog buns and water.
It looks like he's not even bothering to open the bag. He's just throwing the whole plastic bag full of old bread in there and then let the dogs open it for themselves when they get hungry enough.
The sheriff says the heat was another concern.
The sheriff said all of these animals were being kept outside. He said, however, in the shade, but described it as kennels on top of kennels with several puppies to a kennel, even pregnant dogs sharing kennels, ready to give birth as soon as today.
I'm not an animal expert by any stretch, but I know that a mama dog can't give birth to puppies around other adult dogs and expect bad things to happen to those puppies as they're born.
The animals are now in the possession of Bexar County Animal Control. Veterinarians will soon be checking their health. Right now, the man is not facing any charges. He is cooperating with deputies. However, sheriff says if he does face charges, they could potentially be animal cruelty charges.
When you're laying in your own filth, eating bread where, at best, bread that's a couple days, couple of weeks old, that's a horrible situation for any living being to be in.
Sarah Costa, KSAT12 News.
Happening today, San Antonio City Council members are set to vote on a much-debated project at Breckenridge Park. The council will vote on a work contract for the first phase. That phase would restore Lambert Beach and the pump house on the park's northern edge. The project was originally approved as part of a 2017 bond, but before work begins, the Texas Historical Commission and the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers need to sign off on the plans. We've got a breakdown on those plans for you on our website, KSAT12.
The long-running feud between the group that runs the Alamo and the family that owns the bar Moses Rose's Hideout is over. The two fought over an eminent domain order to make room for a new Alamo Visitor Center museum that required the owner to sell. This morning, the Alamo Trust and Moses Rose's lawyer says the two have finally agreed to a purchase price in mediation, and the bar will be vacated by August 15th. The owner, Vince Cantu, would initially not agree to sell, saying that the state was trying to lowball him by millions of dollars. He now says the mediated agreement allows the discovery of any artifacts unearthed by the construction dig to be credited to the family.
After more than 2 decades, there is a name change coming for the home arena of the San Antonio Spurs.
And it's going to happen real soon. Frost Bank taking over naming rights at the AT&T Center at the start of the upcoming season.
Our RJ Marquez was there when that announcement was made officially. RJ joins us now live. RJ?
All right, David and Ursula, when we get to see Victor Wembanyama here for the first time, maybe it's a preseason game or a regular season game, this place will officially be called the Frost Bank Center. That's right, the San Antonio-based banking giant is taking over the naming rights for AT&T and also extending a 50-year partnership with the San Antonio Spurs organization. So the announcement was made earlier today, just a little while ago, by Spurs majority owner Peter J. Holt, along with Spurs CEO R.C. Buford and Frost chairman and CEO Phil Green. The Spurs had been looking for a new naming rights partner since November of 2021 when AT&T decided to not renew its deal. Frost Bank was established back in 1868 in San Antonio and is now one of the 50 largest banks in the U.S. with over $48 billion in assets. Team officials and Frost executives said that this is a win-win situation and reiterates the organization's commitment to the city of San Antonio. The Spurs Coyote also helped make today's big announcement.
Frost Bank is our new naming rights partner, and this is the future Frost Bank Center. Thank you all for this partnership. As Peter, Sean spoke about, without Frost, Who knows if the Spurs would have ever gotten to San Antonio.
All right, and that was Spurs CEO R.C. Buford right there. Of course, the architect, along with Coach Greg Popovich, of many, many Spurs championships and winning seasons. So the Spurs are also unveiling the Frost Club here for fans. And once they get the green light from all the other partners here involved, they will start to change the street name outside of the building and also the highway signage. So that's going to be all different as well. And then work on changing all the signage right here inside the building, now known as the Frost Bank Center. So this will all be done by the start of this upcoming season. So David, I know you have some stuff ready to go. Victor Wembanyama, maybe his first block of the season. The bank is not open today. Back to you guys.
And then, of course, a great shot by Victor Wembanyama.
Yes.
The bank is open.
The bank is open.
He made a deposit. Oh, we can go on forever.
I know. What fun we're going to have with this.
It'll be great.
And, you know, unlike yesterday, we are at 92 degrees with lots of clouds.
Yeah, we are going to see more sunshine, though, especially into the afternoon. So that means that it is going to be another hot one across South Central Texas. Yet another triple-digit day in the forecast with that theme not going anywhere. Also this morning, stepping outside, definitely noticing the humidity. Right now, those dew points are already starting to drop off a little bit more. In the upper 60s, still a few low 70s in and around the San Antonio area. But when you factor in that moisture, it does make it feel a few degrees hotter than the actual air temperature. So while it's 92 officially over at the airport, it feels like 97 here in town. Feels like 100 degrees just off to our south out there in Pleasanton. 103 the feels like temperature this noon hour in Gonzales. Current actual air temperature around 87 right now in Canyon Lake. But we are expecting more sunshine this afternoon, so that is going to help those temperatures climb. Already 100 degrees by 3 p.m., 102 expected by the peak heating time of day around 4 to 5 o'clock. Still warm out there if you're stepping out for any Thursday evening plans. Okay, looking ahead as we get ready to wrap up the work week tomorrow, head into the weekend, record challenging heat continues. It's not going anywhere, all thanks to this heat high pressure. Still very much in control of our weather pattern, and unfortunately that still means we don't have any notable rain chances currently in the forecast, at least over the next 6 to 7 days. So we'll get you a full look at all of this, and then later on the latest drought monitor that was released earlier this morning coming up in just a few.
All right, Mia, thank you so much. We may soon see the man accused of opening fire at a local MLK Day celebration last year on the stand in his own defense at his own murder trial. O.L. Wallace is accused of killing one man and injuring 4 others last year. His defense attorney says that he plans to have 3 or 4 witnesses, including O.L. Wallace himself, who is claiming he only fired after other gunmen were there who started shooting. But prosecutors say there are witnesses who say he fired first and had a specific target in mind. 19-year-old Wallace facing up to life in prison if found guilty. Reporter Eric Hernandez will have a full report on what happens in court later this afternoon.
And we have new details this noon on a fire investigation that left 1 person with burns. Fire crews tell us the flames broke out inside a garage at a home in Converse. Firefighters call the fire accidental. They say it may have been fueled by a gas can. Not clear what initially ignited the fire. The flames caused $200,000 worth of damage. 1 person was taken to the hospital to be treated for burns. A 2nd person also hospitalized for smoke inhalation.
And 4 people had to get checked out after this. Flames shooting out of a trailer home, greeting fire crews at the scene on the city's far west side. This happened around 9:30 last night in the 11,000 block of Castellone Drive. That's near 1604 Marbach Road. Bexar County emergency crews say 3 people were checked out at the scene. They were not taken to the hospital. A firefighter also had to be checked out at the scene. The fire caused $25,000 worth of damage here.
San Antonio water system crews worked overnight to restore water to service to several businesses along I-10 in the Leon Springs area. SAW says a non-SAWS contractor cut into a 12-inch water main with the intent of adding a new service line, but was unable to complete the connection. Several businesses in the area were affected, including Bill Miller's, Walgreens, Schlotsky's, along with some doctor's offices and a hair salon. Several SAWS crews worked throughout the night. They can try to get things set up so those folks could open up their businesses sometime today.
Southside ISD gearing up for the start of school in 2 weeks, passing out gear to families and students that they're going to need. Last night they handed out backpacks, supplies, even food during the back to school bash at Southside High School. The school district says parents are going to be playing a vital role in making sure that students succeed academically. They report increased enrollment here, up 200 students from last year. The district expects that number to keep growing. Administrators also showing families the new medical detectors that are going to be in every Southside ISD school now.
Sent out surveys to our community. 80% of our community was in favor of the metal detectors.
At least they're taking a step to try to secure the safety of the kids, for the kids. So, yeah, it's very impressive. I like it.
The district also encouraging parents to stay up to date with their kids' school so that their child has a smooth start to the school year.
Hey, coming up, the D line for the Cowboys will improve their linebacker play because they got beefy. We'll explain anyway.
All eyes on Donald Trump today. The former president now bracing for another indictment. Details on this slew of legal troubles next.
Stepped up security today in the nation's capital, where former President Donald Trump is set to arrive for an unprecedented third arraignment.
ABC's Justin Finch with why Trump's defense team this time is slamming the latest indictment as an attack on his free speech.
Outside D.C. District Court, security barriers in place for an historic third arraignment in just 4 months for former President Donald Trump. In the shadow of the U.S. Capitol, site of the deadly January 6th insurrection, the former president is set to appear in federal court and enter a plea to charges from special counsel Jack Smith that he was leading a conspiracy to overturn the results of the 2020 election that culminated in the attack on the Capitol on January 6th.
It was fueled by lies. Lies by the defendant.
Smith alleging Trump knew he lost the election but was determined to remain in power and that Trump knowingly spread lies about election fraud. Smith also focusing on Trump's actions, claiming he pressured then Vice President Mike Pence to reject the electoral vote certified by Congress. Pence refused.
I want the American people to know that I had no right to overturn the election.
Federal prosecutors arguing Trump was repeatedly told by his White House counsel and Republican state and federal officials that his election fraud claims were false. Trump's attorney refuting the latest charges on CNN.
This is an attack on free speech and political advocacy, and there's nothing that's more protected under the First Amendment.
Trump's former attorney general rejecting that defense argument.
All conspiracies involve speech, and all fraud involves speech. So, free speech doesn't give you the right to engage in a fraudulent conspiracy.
A U.S. Marshal spokesperson tells ABC News that Trump will not be handcuffed and will not have his mugshot taken, but will have his fingerprint scanned. And while there is heavy security around the courthouse, authorities say there have been no credible threats. Justin Finch, ABC News, Washington.
Outside with live cam, at least there are some clouds. A few. If you can find one to stand under, you'll be a little cooler.
I gotta believe one of these clouds, Mia, is gonna develop into something.
Oh, I wish that was the case. We don't have high hopes for that, unfortunately, today, because we definitely could use it. Here's a look at the latest aquifer reading for this Thursday, up 0.2 of a foot, 627.8 the level out there today, and our pollen count. Just mold still in the count, and they have fallen a little bit compared to where they were yesterday. Still in the low category, so not too shabby. But yes, we don't have a lot of hope in terms of notable rain chances over the next several days, just more heat. So we'll take a look at that, plus how this year's heat stacks up against years past after the break.
We started covering high school football previews, getting ready for the Pigskin Classic coming up, that KSAT big day, that Friday night and the Saturday.
Psychologically, it helps, doesn't it?
It helps, but a lot of these players, a lot of these coaches have these teams out at like the crack of dawn. I mean, the sun is just coming up, which I guess is very, very smart.
I was among them this morning. I got my
even
exercise out of the way as the sun was coming up.
And that's what you have to do now, because I can't even imagine being outside, especially when you're under all those football pads and helmets in the heat of the day. It's just dangerous out there because the triple digits have been the theme over the past several weeks. And of course, we know that that heat high isn't going anywhere. So that's still going to be the trend, not just this weekend, but even into the majority of next week as well. In fact, including today will make the 38th triple digit day so far this year in San Antonio. We've actually broken into the top 5 highest number of triple digit days in a given year. If you remember last year, we came in second behind 2009 that had 59 100-degree plus days. Last year we were at 58. And of course, going forward, we will be able to tack onto that number for 2023, including this afternoon. Right now it's already 92 degrees over at SA International. When you do factor in the dew point that's still in the upper 60s, it does feel like the upper 90s, around 97. That current heat index value, winds out of the south-southeast at about 5 to 15 miles per hour, and that is going to be the trend as well throughout the remainder of the afternoon. We will find plenty of sunshine out there, temperature climbing to about 102 for that forecast high here in San Antonio by 4 to 5 o'clock. And then if you have any dinner plans, still plan for it to be plenty hot out there, slowly falling through the low triple digits. Eventually, we'll see those thermometers fall into the low 90s by 10 to 11 o'clock. And then we'll start off tomorrow morning once again near about 80 degrees. All right, this afternoon for most of us, we're climbing into the triple digits in and around the San Antonio area. 103 in New Braunfels, 104 in Floresville, stretching over to Pleasanton, 101 in Hondo, and 102 out west in Sabinal. This is going to be the theme, very copy and paste. 104 already tomorrow. We could actually see those daytime highs climb a degree or two over the next couple of days because of that heat high pressure. And that means that near record heat is also in the forecast. With that forecast high of 104 tomorrow, we could actually break the existing record of 103 that was set back just last year. And that continues Saturday, Sunday, and even into the beginning of next week. And there's that big blue H that we've been talking about. High pressure right now centered just off to our east, but it's deflecting all of that rain and storm making energy around the Lone Star State. Got a cluster of rain and storms moving through the Tennessee River Valley, stretching over to the eastern seaboard. That's actually one of the areas where the Storm Prediction Center has a 1 to 2 out of 5 risk for some severe weather, even better chance for some severe weather across the Central Plains. But you can see that is well north of San Antonio and the state of Texas. That high pressure system, the center of it is going to wobble a bit over the next several days, but it's not going away. So you can see that, yes, the rainfall potential is well to the north of south central Texas. So we just have to buckle up for more heat with those daytime highs climbing by a degree or two this weekend, even more so potentially into next week. Record challenging heat. We'll continue to keep eyes on that. And then again, unfortunately, no notable chances for rain. I know David's just shaking his head because it is not fun, that is for sure.
Feeling for those football players for sure.
Oh, band people out there practicing.
That's true. I did that too when I was in high school.
Woo. Hey, the Texans are looking for their second first-round pick to play like their first-round pick. We'll have that for you coming up. And a former Aggie hit the field tonight, leading his team in the Hall of Fame game.
Football coverage brought to you by Davis Law Firm.
The Cowboys back at work, but without pads again yesterday in Oxnard. Hey, the defensive line, liking those cooler temperatures, you know that, because they got a little beefier. They drafted defensive tackle Mozzie Smith, there he is, who's listed at 6'3", 323 pounds. He's another big body on that D-line that can plug up some of those running lanes, and that makes it easier for the linebackers.
I love our group up front. I love our D-line room, the energy that they bring. Those big guys up front, I mean, those guys can play ball. They can get off the rock. They're quick. They're strong. They can hold up those blockers. Awesome for us to run around and make plays. So, I mean, we make a play. It's their play, too. So, you got to give credit to them.
And after 3 straight days of work, the Houston Texans had the day off yesterday, but back at it this morning. Rookie and 3rd overall draft pick Anderson Jr. is having a great camp so far. He was asked about playing end and then getting to put his hand down in that dirt again.
in high school, I was predominantly defensive end. I never played outside linebacker until I got to Alabama. And then my last couple of years at Alabama, I played true defensive end, really. So putting my hand in the dirt wasn't hard at all. I wanted to get back to that anyway. I feel like that's my baby, and I can have more fun doing that part. So it's just really been a big blessing just, to be here and to be a part of this system.
And we're about to have a game. Kellen Mond and the Cleveland Browns will kick off the preseason tonight when they face the Jets. And Aaron Rodgers in the Hall of Fame game. Mond was drafted by the Vikings in the 3rd round back in the 2021 draft. A year later, he was waived. The Browns picked him up. Now he's going to start where pro football was born.
I'm really excited. First time putting a Browns jersey on in a game. Going to be able to start a Hall of Fame game, and been off to a good start in training camp, so I'm really excited.
Kellen, what does it mean to you? I mean, this is the game, first game of the year. Everybody's watching that. I mean, what does all that mean?
I mean, I think when you start to get more experience in the NFL, you start to realize, whatever you put on tape is going to be what people think of you and going to be your results. So every time you step on the field, your goal should be put good film on tape, play well, execute, and at the end of the day, put the ball in the end zone. So that's what I'm most excited for.
Me and the rest of the Aggies are all fired up for the There we go. See, the Browns are going to host the Jets once again, 7 o'clock in Canton, Ohio.
She was, I don't know. Let's get the season started, then we'll talk.
Yeah.
I'm wearing my LSU purple. I'm ready.
Notice that.
For your Aggie season. All right, SA Live trying a popular Filipino dish where you could chow down on some of the best Filipino food in town. Ooh, that does look good.
Like shrimp, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm. And is that a spring roll kind of thing? Oh, Mike gets all the good food. We'll have all the details coming up at 1 o'clock on SA Live. A gruesome discovery in the Rio Grande. Authorities say they found 2 bodies along those buoys that were installed there yesterday. ABC's Maria Villarreal with how investigators will comb the area to try to figure out what happened here.
Overnight, 2 people found dead in the southern part of the Rio Grande River. One of the bodies found stuck in the barriers installed last month by Texas Governor Greg Abbott. While authorities are still investigating, they say the cause of death and nationality of the victims is unknown. The Department of Justice is now suing the state of Texas and Governor Abbott, claiming the red buoys, tethered to the bottom of the river with heavy cable wire, violate several international treaties and Mexico's sovereignty. The barrier spanning roughly a quarter of a mile, forcing determined migrants into deeper parts of the river. We saw it up close.
So there is definitely several groups here in this area. The one towards the back has a little girl. She's 7 years old. They're from Venezuela. ¿Y por qué cruzaron aquí en esta área?
I ask why they are risking their lives to cross here, and they tell me it's their only option. Law enforcement on the Texas side say the buoys are necessary because they aren't sure how much longer they can manage.
Every single day, from our small property owners to our large property owners, they can't live anymore. We have literally 200 plus people a night going through somebody's front yard.
While we were on the river, we actually saw a man get stuck up in barbed wire fencing as he was trying to avoid those red buoy barriers. This is where the problem lies. So far, Governor Greg Abbott has said he has no intention of removing the red buoys despite there being pending lawsuits. We also know investigators will be out later today to try and figure out how this could have happened and where these migrants may have come from. Mireya Villarreal, ABC News, Fort Worth, Texas.
Now to the ultimate penalty for the man responsible for the deadliest anti-Semitic attack in the nation's history. A jury recommending the death penalty for the gunman who killed 11 people at the Tree of Life Synagogue in Pittsburgh. But now a judge could make it official. Yesterday, the jury unanimously recommending the death penalty for Robert Bowers. This came weeks after convicting him on all 63 criminal counts, including hate crimes for his murderous rampage. Now it's up to the judge to issue his final sentence before that court expected to hear victim impact statements from survivors and families of the victims.
A mother's fight for justice for her son continuing almost 3 years after his murder. Sebastian Carpio was killed September of 2020. His body found burned inside a stolen car. 16-year-old Edgar de la Garza turned himself in after Sebastian's remains were found. He was charged with murder and later given a 25-year sentence. But now there's been a second arrest in the case. It's still open, so Ana Maria Carpio is still pushing for more arrests.
I have a purpose. Sebastian and I have a purpose, and our purpose is to get all these individuals accountable for their actions.
Felipe Angel Perez, officially indicted in June for tampering with evidence, but was found and arrested this week. According to that indictment, Perez accused of trying to alter, destroy, or conceal a shotgun and cell phone that were in evidence in that case. Perez has already bonded out of jail and is now awaiting his court date.
With hot Texas weather and continuing drought conditions, no surprise to see wildfires sparking. That includes one in San Jacinto County, already proving to be dangerous. Crews say at least 2 firefighters have been hurt while trying to contain those flames. The firefighters received burns from radiant heat and were taken to a hospital where they are receiving treatment. It's not clear exactly how the fire started. Officials warn people to be careful as these types of flames are easy to spark.
Be vigilant. Be aware of what we're doing. Be aware of where you're throwing your cigarette butts. Be aware of burning trash. Currently, San Jacinto County and all of the local counties are under a burn ban.
The so-called Snow Hill West fire burned over 200 acres. However, conditions are improving. Crews say it is 90% contained.
We're going to take a look outside with live cam. Few more clouds, few more temperatures, temperature degrees, I should say. You know, Mia, you can say it as nice as you want. It's still ugly. Huh?
It's still going to be a scorcher of an afternoon. That's right. I know. Through the noon show, I feel like we always just
even if you say it's sweet, it's going to be 100.
We can try to sugarcoat it, but yes, that is the bottom line, right? And it's no surprise we've been dealing with this over the past several days, in fact, the past several weeks, and it's just going to stick with us this weekend, next week, and then hopefully by the middle of August, we could see maybe a little bit of a pattern change, but we'll have to keep eyes on that. So speaking of which, all right, let's go back outside with, yes, those hot conditions. Low 90s right now here in San Antonio, 92 over at SA International, as well as Stinson and Randolph, just a degree hotter out there at Kelly. Winds generally out of the south at about 5 to 15 miles per hour. All of South Central Texas going to see another hot day. Right now, though, upper 80s for places like Hondo as well as Uvalde. 90 in Rock Springs, 94 out west in Del Rio, 96 the current temperature in Gonzales, actually a degree hotter than Cotulla off to our southwest right now. We will continue to see those thermometers climb into the triple digits yet again later this afternoon, especially 100 degrees by 3 p.m., 102 that forecast high here in San Antonio by 5 o'clock, and then still slow to quote-unquote cool off later this evening if you are stepping out for any of those Thursday evening plans. Temperatures still in the 90s. And you can see these triple digits are not going anywhere. Record challenging, potentially even record breaking heat in spots over the next several days. So this weekend is going to be a hot one as well. All right, we've got the latest drought monitor that was released earlier this morning. Coming up in a little bit, we're going to show you that, as well as talk a little bit more in depth about the fire danger coming up in just a few, guys.
All right, Mia, thank you. We'll look forward to that. Embattled Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton's years-delayed trial on securities fraud charges will have to wait until his Senate impeachment trial is concluded. That's what Paxton's lawyers asked Judge Andrea Beal during a hearing in Houston today. She's a Democrat. She agreed to wait to discuss a possible trial date until an October 6th court hearing. Special Prosecutor Brian Weiss said he shares the public's frustration that the case has yet to go to trial. Paxton was indicted in 2015 on felony charges of defrauding investors in a tech startup.
No one's above the law, and that while the wheels of justice may have appeared to move with glacial pace in this case, I think we're about to pick up speed.
The indictments accused Paxton of defrauding investors in a Dallas area tech startup by not disclosing he was being paid by the company to recruit them.
And American soldiers still being held in communist North Korea after running across the border from the south. ABC's Rena Roy with how his family's plea for help has not resulted in his return to the U.S.
In an ABC News exclusive, the family of missing U.S. Army Private Travis King speaking out as he remains detained in North Korea.
It feels like I'm in a big nightmare.
Last month, the 23-year-old soldier was supposed to board a flight back to the U.S. after serving time in a South Korean jail following a physical altercation. But instead of getting on that plane, Pentagon officials say King left the airport and joined a tour of the Demilitarized Zone, or DMZ, the heavily fortified border area that separates North and South Korea. King reportedly pictured here, dressed in black, moments before authorities say he deliberately sprinted across the border, taken into custody by North Koreans and driven away in a van.
Travis would not just go over the border like that. He's the type of kid, he would have wanted to come home.
King's family says his mental health had declined prior to his disappearance. His uncle telling ABC he said he was experiencing racism during his military deployment and that after he spent time in jail, he didn't sound like himself.
I was like, "You okay?" And he's telling me, "No, they're trying to kill me." And he was saying things like, said they're racist. I don't know, it made me seem like something was going on with him.
His mother saying she received a disturbing phone call in the middle of the night.
He just called and he just screamed, "I'm not the Army soldier you want me to be. I'm not the Army soldier you want me to be." And he kept screaming that out loud. And then all of a sudden the phone hung up and then they were taking him to the hospital.
King's family is desperate for answers, calling on the U.S. government to help bring him home. The administration says they're doing what they can. This week, for the first time, North Korea confirmed that they are holding King. Rena Roy, ABC News, New York.
Some popular weight loss medications now at the center of a lawsuit. Patients say they're suffering side effects like stomach paralysis. How the drug makers are responding to those allegations.